Alrighty, everybody, what's going on? Welcome back to another quick CYPRX video breakdown. In today's video, I'm going to be going over in detail how I was able to make about $1,100 on an MNQ trade this morning in about 30 minutes. I'm going to break it down to you all fully in detail utilizing order flow charts. And then I'm going to actually play a clip of me trading live that I had recorded during the live session this rising. So that way you guys can actually see the trade in real time, but just so that way you guys can see that it was an actual trade this rising with real profits made. I really want to thoroughly break down and get you guys to understand the importance of the data, the information, and the access to the tools and software that we have here at CYPRX, and why it's so important that you guys learn these things if you're attempting to become a day trader in the financial markets. Regardless of what asset class or currency you trade, you guys can utilize the tools and the software that we have in the CYPRX community to create an edge for yourself and to really just build a legacy for yourself and become a sovereign individual by learning how to trade these markets, right? So let's dive in real fast. I'm just going to take you over the best way that I'm going to be able to present this price action to you guys is utilizing Top Step, because you have the ability to jump down to the seconds charts. Now, this was a scalp position. Alrighty, so starting my live trading session, this is where I took my first trade. On this trade, I was willing to risk about $400 to $500. So I moved my stop with that much breathing room briefly right below one of the EMAs. And once my trade went $300 into profit on this specific entry, I moved my stop loss into profit to protect my capital. However, you will notice once we get into a little bit more of the trade that during the retracement, because my entry on this position was a little high, it got stopped out with about a $20 win. So here is where the trade is about to get stopped out after moving my trade into profit. And boom, first trade liquidated. All right, on to the second position of the day. This is when I started to notice that sellers were still getting trapped by buyers and that price was still trading above the triple moving average crossover, which gave me the confidence to enter into another position with a resting buy limit. That buy limit was hit on this trade, and I was willing to risk a bit less on this trade, only $200 with a tight stop loss. Here's the entry. Because the entry was a little high for my taste. Nonetheless, my analysis of the order flow charts was correct, and for the moment, buyers were trapping sellers and moving price up with good buy volume. And once the trade was in profit, to mitigate loss, I moved my stop loss into profit to protect my capital. Zoomed out to the higher time frame just to see where price action could go. My overall analysis was correct. MNQ made a new all-time high, but still, once I started seeing that buyers were getting trapped at highs, that was my signal for this specific position to close the trade and wait for a better entry on a pullback. So this is where I started moving my stop loss up. And then I went ahead and I noticed that buyers were getting trapped at highs. So I actually just manually closed the position. Here's where I manually close it. Right. So second win for the day secured. Heading into the third and final trade, I had noticed that sellers were trapping buyers, but that the sell volume was not aggressive, and it wasn't aggressive enough to break support or where buyers had previously trapped sellers. So again, this to me was a signal that we might see another push higher as buyers still have the upper hand. On this trade, I was willing to risk $300 again, as the entry was a little bit high for me in terms of where price was on the higher time frame. But reading the order flow charts correctly, buyers trapped sellers and made an aggressive move up leading to the last win of the day, securing a total of $1,100 in less than 30 minutes. So here is the rest of that trade play out. Yeah, hope that you guys enjoyed this live trading session.
Order filled.
Now, this was a scalp position, meaning that I was simply just trying to get in and out of the market as quickly, as swiftly, and as fast as possible. And so here you can see, before I pull up the order flow chart so that way nobody's confused, the first infographic and screenshot of the order flow price action that I'm going to share with you guys is from within this blue box. So from New York market open at about 8:30 up until roughly about 8:42 a.m. And then the second bit of price action when we get over to the order flow charts that I'm going to share with you guys is this yellow box. All right. So just wait, you guys can see the first picture's worth of price action that we're going to be breaking down, what I was seeing, because I did enter into some positions, which you guys will see in the live video breakdown. However, because I moved my stops into profit, which I usually tend to do, I was taken out of some of the beginning trades that I entered in on this initial pullback. But then realizing that the momentum was not done, that it favored buyers, buyers were trapping sellers. We continued to push higher, breaking structure. We had some higher lows made as support, and I re-entered into another position here, which was the position that ran the full profits for the rest of the trading session today. So this is what we're going to go over. I'm just going to briefly talk about through the order flow perspective what I was seeing, so that way you guys have a little bit more fine tuning as to what I was seeing in the market today during this trade. All right. So hopefully you guys enjoy. This is the first video that I'm going to make out of a series of video breakdowns and this new journey that I'm on trading the futures markets, right? Having transitioned from forex and trading crypto over the last 9 years, I started trading futures in July. Already have 2 fully funded accounts, both $150,000 on Top Step. Nothing crazy or outrageous, but just to show you guys that with this knowledge and the information that we provide here at CYPRX, it is 110% possible. So again, focusing your attention on the first blue square, I now want to take you guys over to the screenshot of the order flow charts this rising and what it was that I was seeing. Okay, so that blue box that we had annotated on the 5 seconds chart, this is the price action that was within that blue box. So here you can see, I'm going to utilize a drawing tool just to give you guys an insight and why it's so important that you all, again, pay attention to these real types of insights. So even if you're watching this for the first time and you don't know what order flow is, remember that here in the private CYPRX community, if you want to dig a little bit deeper and actually understand these metrics, then definitely lock in with us in the private community. But here, this is when New York session had opened. All right. This is the New York session open. If you look down at the bottom of the screen, this is about 8:30 a.m. And so we had a huge momentum push to the upside. Now, after that, I had noticed that down here in these areas, every time sell volume picked up aggressively, buyers just continuously trapped sellers at these lows. Then here for the first time, buyers made an aggressive move to try to trap sellers, and they tried with momentum to push to the upside and failed. Sellers won this battle, overpowered buyers, trapped them at highs, and pushed price back down to the lows. But again, we see sell volume with buy volume trapping sell volume. Moving on over here to this area, this is the very first area of interest that I started to look for entries if you go back and you watch the live recording. The question is, why? Because yet again, we see a large sell volume followed by a buy candlestick with sell volume trapped in it. This is a signal that buyers are trapping sellers. Following that move, immediately after, if you guys can see here, this is a bearish candlestick with buy volume inside of it. And you'll notice that there's a failure to break a new structure low. So here is the first signal where I was like, okay, buy volume is now overpowering sell volume, and there is not enough sell volume in the market in order to make a new structure low and continue this overall downtrend. So buyers are starting to throw enough volume in the market to trap sellers and possibly push prices higher. Now you'll notice that this pattern continues. We continue to see bullish candlesticks with sell volume trapped inside. And so here is the first area of interest where I started to enter after we had this aggressive push to the upside, breaking previous resistance. We had this pullback, and you'll notice again, you'll see bullish candlesticks with trapped sell volume inside. This is the initial entry that I had made, the first position that got stopped out after we had this aggressive move to the upside, buyers attempting to push and break through all of this sell volume over here to the right hand side. That is when I initially, on my first position, moved my stops up into profit to try to see if this could run higher, and I could just trail my stop loss into profit, and it would have been a nice trading day from there. However, that is not the case. One more time, sellers tried to make an attempt to defend at their previous positions. They trapped buyers at highs, and they pushed price action down, back down to support the base where buyers had trapped sellers, making this initial push an attempt to push price action through all of the sell resistance over here to the left-hand side. And so to continue on, now going over to the second infograph. So what I was pretty much seeing is that, to sum all this up, buyers were continuously trapping sell volume as sellers were trying to make an aggressive attempt to push price action down into the lows. Buyers continued to defend. And then for the last time here, which gave me the signal, you can see buyers made an aggressive push. Sellers tried to overpower. Right here was the last signal. There's a huge buy imbalance right there, followed by aggressive buy volume. And that just coexisted with the base here from the trapped sell volume, where buyers had originally trapped sellers to make this aggressive move to the upside. So I was looking at all of this as a break of structure, a break of all these lower highs, and looking at this as the pullback and continuation move. Now that'll take us over into the second screenshot. So this was my first entry here in this area. To sum all this up, that trade did not work out because I moved my stops into break even too early. The market retraced for one more test of the support before moving higher, right? Which leads us over into the second infograph. Okay, so now taking us over to the second bit of price action, and we're going to go back over to the chart so all of this makes sense here in just a second for anybody that's not familiar with order flow. But so this is that aggressive move to the upside after the market had pulled back. And what I had noticed is, again, the same or similar pattern. We start to see sellers attempting to become aggressive here, trapping buyers at highs. So let me go ahead and annotate this for you all. You can see buyers continued to make attempts to defend. Sellers would trap buyers at highs and continue to push price down with aggressive sell volume continuing. Now, here in this area, this is where I want you guys to really focus your attention, because this is where the buys came in for today's $800 move to add on to the previous $300 move that I had scalped during the session to create a total of $1,100 made during this 30-minute trading session. You'll notice that right down here, we have a large sell volume trapped at a low, followed by two bullish candlesticks with sell volume trapped inside. Right after that, in the previous screenshot, what I had mentioned is, you can see here, same thing. We see a bearish candlestick with buy volume in it, followed by a bullish candlestick with trapped sell volume. So these are sellers attempting to become aggressive, but buy volume is overpowering them, and they're trapping sellers at these lows and following through, breaking resistance here and pushing momentum with buy volume up in order to break all of these structure points. So this to me was a shift in momentum where now buyers are back in control. As you can see, before this move happened, sellers were in control, right? They were constantly trapping buyers at highs and pushing price lower and lower. And for the first time, that did not happen. We see sellers trapped at lows, a bearish candlestick with buy volume, followed by bullish candlesticks with sell volume, a higher low in the market that is followed with a higher high. Okay, so that was the first signal before I entered into the trade over here to the right-hand side. This gave me the signal that buyers are now back in control. And so if they're going to push price action higher, they're going to need to pull price action back to reaccumulate buys and push price higher. So how do we get in on that momentum? Right here, this was a very great signal. You can see, again, sellers are attempting to show their hand with this red arrow. This is sell volume in the market or sell pressure. They try to do so. However, buyers again come in and they trap sell volume in the market. You can see by this blue box, this is a bullish imbalance. So we have an aggressive push by buyers, trapping sellers at lows again. And this aggressive push leads to a break in market structure. And so now we're starting to see structure form: a higher low, higher high, higher low, higher high formation. And so if this trend is going to continue, we as traders would like to get in at a discount, not buy at tops. We would like to wait to see if buyers can try to defend the base of this overall move. And sure enough, sellers try to trap buyers at highs, defending their previous positions. They push price action down into the base. And here, yet again, we see bearish candlesticks with sell volume, followed by a bullish candlestick with sell volume. This signals that sellers are being trapped by buyers. And you can notice that we did not break this base where we had this aggressive push that moved price action to the upside, breaking this previous structure. This is where I said to myself, okay, if we can break the resistance here and we can see buyers trap sellers again, I'm going to enter into positions under the assumption that this means buyers are back in control and we're likely to see an aggressive push higher. So if you look at my entry during the live feed, I entered at the 25137, which is exactly here in this area. I saw exactly what I wanted to see. I saw a break in structure, bullish momentum pushing above previous sell resistance. Then once we pulled back into an area of discount, I saw sellers trapped by buyers. Buyers made an attempt to push price action higher, breaking this internal resistance, retesting it with more sell volume trapped, as you can see with this bearish candlestick, and the trapped sell volume here, followed by another bullish candlestick. That was my signal to enter into this trade. I entered at the 25137 and continued to follow the momentum higher. Very simplistic, right? Not overly extensive. If you're learning order flow for the first time, this might seem very confusing to you, but it's so important that you guys have these metrics and these insights so you actually understand where battles in the market are actually taking place via a visual perspective. So now let's go back over to the charts and clear all of this up. Alrighty, so like I said, this was that first aggressive push. Sorry, I apologize if you guys are having a hard time seeing it. I know that it's on the 5-second chart, but this was that first aggressive push up during the 8:30 a.m. window when the markets had opened. And here is the first initial move or pullback where buyers started trapping sellers all at these lows. And we had a signal right here for the first time where we did not make a new low in the market. And instead, we saw buyers trap sellers, pushing price up with enough momentum to break resistance and create higher highs and higher lows. This was the first area of interest where I entered into that trade that I mentioned, and I moved my stops into profit, and the market had pulled back and token me out. This, however, is that pullback that I mentioned where we came all the way back down to the base before rolling into the second picture, going into higher price action. Here is that area of interest where once the market had started to pull back, this was that area of interest where I mentioned we need to focus because for the first time on the lower time frames, we saw sell volume and bearish candlesticks followed by bullish candlesticks with sell volume trapped, breaking internal resistance, leading to a breakout and momentum move, trailing and breaking previous resistance, starting to create structure where now we can start to see this is a high, a new higher low created in the market, followed by a higher high. And this is where on the order flow charts, I had said to myself, okay, if we can hold this base where we had that sell volume trapped and that buy imbalance, if we could retest that and start to see buyers trap sellers again, that was going to be my signal for an entry. And sure enough, We created a pullback. We saw exactly what we wanted to see on the order flow charts, which is sell volume trapped, followed by bullish candlesticks with momentum to break resistance. And we got that exactly to the T. So this was my entry overall. Very simplistic. On top of that, you could throw a couple of other retail mechanics on to this analysis. We were also trading above the triple EMA. I personally utilize it in my trading strategy. We had a triple moving average crossover. Price action was also above all of my EMAs, which just gave me more confidence that this trade was going to go in my favor. On top of that, today, the market sentiment favored a risk on mood. So that's it. Very simplistic breakdown. This was a beautiful scalp position, $1,100 today in about 30 minutes. So hopefully you guys enjoyed this breakdown. If you guys want to learn more, definitely head over to CYPRXtrading.com, tap into the advanced CYPRX trading course. Once you get through the advanced course material, definitely consider expanding your knowledge a bit further, learning more about deltas, order flow, and dark pools in our private CYPRX Discord. Definitely consider reaching out to our institutional scalper. As always, many blessings to you guys. Be cognizant out there, be aware, and I'll see you all in the next video breakdown.